The dawn stretched thin over the endless plains, the sky a gentle blush, soft as whispered secrets between old souls. Ayanna moved quietly through the morning mist, each step pressing softly into the damp earth. She was the chief's daughter, 22 years carved from wild wind and fierce fire, yet there was a quietness to her that held the weight of untold stories. Her dark eyes, shaped like the curve of the river's bend, scanned the horizon with a mixture of longing and restraint, as though searching for something just beyond reach. The tribe expected much from her: strength, loyalty, the unyielding spirit of their ancestors, but inside, a restless ache lingered, a question she dared not speak aloud. Her fingers brushed the leaves of the sagebrush, feeling their coarse edges, and the scent of earth and pine wrapped around her like a cloak. The world here was vast and silent, yet alive with a secret pulse, a rhythm she had learned to listen to since she was a child. But today, the usual peace was fractured by a faint sound, a low, ragged groan that seemed to drift through the trees like a ghost's lament. Her breath caught. Something was wounded nearby, something human yet unfamiliar. She hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty passing through her. Should she follow the sound or heed the warnings of her tribe, who taught her to fear strangers, especially ones large enough to shake the ground beneath her feet? Drawn by a force she could not name, Ayanna pressed forward, the mist curling around her like a lover's embrace. Then, through a curtain of twisted branches, she found him, a giant figure sprawled against the earth, half hidden beneath the shattered limbs of a fallen tree. Blood stained his shirt, dark as the rich soil beneath him, and his chest rose and fell in shallow, uneven breaths. The early light caught on the lines of his face, rugged, weathered, yet marked by a vulnerability that stopped her heart in its tracks. He was Colton, the cowboy they whispered about but none dared approach, a man as tall as the oaks and twice as strong, a legend made flesh, wounded and alone. Their eyes met briefly, his clouded with pain and mistrust, hers steady with a silent promise. No words passed between them, the forest held its breath, the world narrowing to the space where two strangers faced the fragile thread of fate. Her hands moved instinctively, gathering water from a nearby brook, the cold liquid tracing along torn skin, washing away the dust and heat. She worked gently, her touch a quiet defiance against the harshness of the world outside. But the tribe's shadow loomed close, a storm waiting to break. Rumors had already stirred like restless crows, an outsider, a giant stranger dared trespass on sacred land. Her father, Chief Takota, would see this man as a threat, a challenge to everything they stood for. Her heart tightened with the weight of loyalty and love, the two forces pulling her in opposite directions. She hid Colton beneath the dense thicket, a fragile sanctuary amid the wild, knowing that discovery could mean death, for him, for her, for the fragile hope kindling between them. Days passed in silence, broken only by the soft sounds of healing. Colton's breathing grew steadier, the color returning to his skin like the slow bloom of dawn. Ayanna watched over him with quiet grace, teaching him the language of the wind and stars, the songs that the earth whispered to those who would listen. Their connection grew not through bold words but through small, sacred gestures, a shared sip from a water skin, the brush of a hand against healing flesh, a smile hidden beneath the cottonwood's shade. Each moment stretched thin, fragile as a spider's thread, yet strong enough to hold a burgeoning hope. But the world beyond their refuge did not rest. One evening, as the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the land, the tribe's scouts found traces of the giant's presence. The air thrummed with tension, the drums of war beating in the distance. Chief Takota's voice was thunder, demanding justice, the hunters ready to purge the threat from their land. Ayanna stood at the crossroads of fate, torn between the blood that bound her and the heart that chose differently. Her love was a rebellion, whispered softly beneath the vast sky, a fragile flower blooming in the cracks of a hardened world. Colton, too, carried his own burdens, shame etched into the lines of his face, a man hunted and misunderstood, far from the dusty trails he once rode with pride. Yet in Ayanna's presence, he found a refuge, a place where his strength softened into trust. They shared no promises, only quiet resilience and the slow, steady weaving of souls. The tribe's wrath was a gathering storm, but within the eye of that tempest, two hearts beat steady and true. When the hunters finally closed in, arrows darkening the sky like a flock of falling crows, Ayanna stepped forward, not with weapons drawn, but with a fierce grace that held the wildness of her ancestors. Her voice, calm but unyielding, broke through the tension, a bridge between worlds. She stood between the giant and her tribe, a living testament to the power of choice and courage. Colton rose beside her, no longer just a giant cowboy but a protector tempered by humility and love. The clash was quiet in its intensity, a battle of wills beneath the endless prairie sky. The tribe's anger began to soften, worn down by the undeniable truth in Ayanna's eyes and Colton's steady presence. Old wounds began to heal in the warmth of new understanding. As the sun set, painting the plains in hues of fire and gold, the storm passed, not with the roar of gunfire, but with the gentle folding of hands and hearts. Ayanna and Colton stood together, their union a promise of peace, a symbol of two worlds joined. The tribe watched in silent awe as the daughter of the chief and the giant cowboy became one, two souls brave enough to love beyond fear and tradition. The wind carried their story across the land, a song of hope whispered through the sagebrush and stars. And now, as you listen to this old tale beneath the vast sky, remember this: love, like the prairie wind, finds its way through the hardest places. It asks only that we listen, truly listen, to the quiet beating of our hearts. What will you dare to love beyond fear?